नहमदुहु व नुसल्ली अला रसूलिहिल करीम अम्मा बाद फ़ाउज़ बिल्लाहि मिनश शैतानिर रजीम बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम. Myself Hanzla Bin Shakeel and I am from University of Miyawali. I am studying my bachelor's in computer science from there. This video is basically about a project which is a semester ending project assigned by a computer organization and assembly language instructor, that we have to create a game, a simple game or any other software or a simple project in assembly language which will help in our day, life. So the project I created for my semester ending uh, is a game named as TicTacToe. We usually play this game on our registers with ballpoints in our childhood. But here I created this game with assembly language code. Sorry. So for executing the assembly language code, we are using an emulator named as AMU8086. First of all, we will just simply run that emulator and created a new project. I have created the project. I just open it from my computer storage. So here you see that I am so if you see that here we are using data segments, pointers and registers and functions we are using. So first of all, we are using a function named as draw, which we will simply draw as dashes. uh, if you remember, this game is basically consists of 9 boxes or 9 dashes, uh, just like this. If you see that, give me a second. If you see that here, that if we simply run that code, I just want to show you that the output before explaining the code. Here you see that this game basically consists of these type of 9 boxes, which are simply drawn as a string here. These are written in the form of dashes, which are on our keyboard as an underscore. We'll use a word underscore for these dashes. So this game basically work from our keyboard numeric keys, which are from 1 to 9, and if you see that it also have 9 boxes: 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. If we press 5 from our keyboard, it will mark and cross here, and cross is for first player, and for second player, the other player, we use a 0. You can see that. And if we want to put input on in that box, we'll use a 9 key, and for similarly for this we will use 8 key. And if a one player some player win, let's suppose if we let the players first player, which is named as player 0, win. So if you see that the player 0 is wins here, the 3 adjacent crosses come here in diagonal, and the game over and player 0 win, which is the first player. So this game basically work if 3 same crosses or 3 same 0 come in an adjacent vertical row or horizontal or in a diagonal. So here now I will try to explain my code, rather than I am not an expert, but I will try my best. So here you can see that the stack segment we use, and from here the code start. These are basically used for setting the segment registers, and this move is an instruction in an assembly language is used for data transferring. If you see that I am created a instruction set here. MOV is an instruction which is used for data transferring. In assembly language, MOV uses for data transferring. So here we use MOV for data transfer, and this is are the built-in or constant codes in assembly language is used for some inputs or outputs, or for transferring the data, or for displaying something. So here the game starts. First of all, we will call a pointer which is a set game pointer, and here we will using a loop, and this function call will is used to call something. So here we are clearing the screen for displaying the game start message. This LEA means also to transfer data, and if you see that here we are using LEA call, which is used to, this is calling the function name as print. We created a print function. If you see that we created a print function above. So first of all, we will calculate the position or draw the positions. So this code, this set of code is used to draw something in assembly language. So here we are drawing this diagram, this bunch of diagram. Just give me a second. Just run it again, so you can see that what we are drawing. So we are basically drawing this 9 boxes which is created by underscores or is commas. So here we are drawing, or if the game ends when the 3 same crosses or zeros come in an vertical, diagonal or horizontal position. So for this checking we are using an CMP statement or CMP command, or CMP instruction, which is basically used to compare and set something. It is a conditional statement. In C++ we are using if or else statement for this, that if something is this, then print this. If it's the condition is not true, then the command will transfer to an other the statement written in else in other form, any if and else statement, you know about it. So here we will compare that if the player 1 or player 0 win, it will simply print game over. But if it check and the player and the previous player doesn't win, then it will simply call the change player function, and it will jump to the main loop, and it will change the player. If you see here, it will change the player, and this LEA will transfer the data to other player. Or this XOR is basically a logic gate, just like AND, OR, or NOT. Here XOR is a logic gate, which is the truth table of XOR is that if we have 2 inputs false, if we have input A or input B both are false, then the output will be also false. And if the input 1 or input 2 are or the input of A and B, what we have named them, are both are true, then the output is also false. If we just simply check the truth table of XOR, you see here that if both input are false, then the output is also false, and if the both input are true, then the output is also false. If one input is true, then the output is true. If so, this is basically an logic gate. If we see in instruction set, that here you can see that logic XOR is an logic gate, just like OR, NOT, or AND gates. And this function is basically to return the control. That here it is checking the conditions, and if it's true, then it will show this it will call this function, which means that game over. Here it will display this message. But if the condition is false, then it will jump the command to this statement that call the change player function. Change the player and set the command to other player, and it will jump to the main loop. Simply this is also using for returning something, to return a command to other. If you see in this instruction set, here you can see the RET function. Here you can see the RET function here. Give me a second, I just forgot where I had the RET function. I forgot that. We will check it at the end. Move on. Okay, now here this code will update the drawing or the output. The drawing means that this drawing, it will update the drawing, that if the data transfer or the function which is named as game pointer enter an input of a specific user, and it entered, let's suppose, 5 number from a numeric keyboard, then it will update the draw and it will mark an input from a user. If we mark a 5, then it will update. You can see that it will update the drawing and replace this underscore with an X. Or if an other player enter, we are simply using its drawing name as 0. That means that we are using X for player 1 or first player and 0 for second player. Here we named the first player as player 0 and the other player as player 1. So these are basically using for this. I explained it before that it is a compare and set statement, just like if an else statement, and this is a data transferring instruction. Or here you see that this function call will check the lines. Line means these lines, that if a player enters let's suppose a 3 here, so it will check the line and transfer the control to the other line, because we have only an option of 3. For a fourth one, we will have to change the line here. You can see that we created a 3 lines here, 3 strings or 3 lines, at 1, 2 or 3. So this is used for here, this is used for updating the line. Here it will use for updating the line, and now here it is checking the line and creating a loop, or using a conditional statement, or comparing a setting. Here it's calling the column, that if the 3 adjacent come in column, then the game ends. Or if a 3 adjacent come in, here you can see that if 3 adjacent come in column, or 3 adjacent come in diagonal, or 3 adjacent come in row, then the game ends. 3 adjacent crosses or zeros mean that if, just like I just give you an example of 3 adjacent column or row. Let's suppose we will put as 3-0 here of player, second player, which is named as players 1. So if we simply 1, so player 0, it will give an update the drawing from first underscore. If we this is of 6, if we enter 6, 0 will appear in this position, as you see. Now here you see that if the first player named as player 0 enters the 9 key from its keyboard, then it will print a 9 here, which will means that 3 adjacent crosses come here. Let's suppose I just give an example. The first player, which is named as player 0, enter 9, that it will become a 3 adjacent crosses here, which means that game will be over, and a string we created here, as you see that we created a string here named as game over, and this statement will be print as it is here. As you see that here the game over and player 0 win. Here the player and this player 0 wins and type a position. uh, Now if you move to the next line, here if you see that this code is using for checking the line and this code is using for checking the column, this is using for checking the diagonal, and this is if the game ends it will clear the screen and display the game start message, which is what update, oh sorry, it will update the game start message, which is the message the game when the game start is that TicTacToe game Hanzla, and after that it will give the player's number. But if a specific players win, then it will display this wins message and types a position of it. Okay. uh, okay, similarly if you see that this add instruction, what is the function of this add instruction? If you see in our instruction set, this add function is an arithmetic operator. It is used for addition or this GNE function, I forgot to write. This GNE function is also used for jumping from one to another. Similarly, if you check the instructions or commands we are using here, this is a function we created above that clear the screen. If the game overs, clear the screen, update the, this is used for LEA is used for data transferring, and we are calling the function name as print. Then it will update the game start message and it will transfer the command to new line. And if the game draw, that if the no one wins, if I show you that here, if no one wins, I just run it again, or if you see, sorry, I just forgot to give the password. If no one wins, I just give you that one, and then simple way, if no one wins, and then what will happen? I'm just typing or giving the instruction in order from 1 to 9. You see that player 0 win, the first player wins, because you see that the three same axes crosses come in and diagonal. Here you see this line of code will work if the same crosses come in and diagonal. And if you draw, this is when the game draws, which means that no one wins. If you doesn't allow to, if the first player doesn't allow second player to win and it simply draw the game, then this message will be appear that that game is draw. This is the function we created above, that game is draw, and the message that we display is simply that game is draw. I just want to show you, but I'm not properly one, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 2 3. Now you're seeing that I am just pressing a number from my keyboard, and it is just updating this underscore with cross or 0. If you enter 6 for player 1, uh, which is a second player, that it will update this underscore with 0. 6, sorry, this is fourth position, 6, it will update this. Or if we press 5, it will update this underscore with cross. Cross is for first player and 0 is for second player. Now if the second player press 9, then it will doesn't allow the first player to win. Here the second player, here the second player press, here the second player press 9 from its keyboard, that it tricks the first player that he doesn't win. And now the fourth and seventh is left. If we press 4 from our keyboard, it will simply update this fourth number underscore. Here if we press 7, now you see the game will be draw. If the game draw, then what the message will be appear here. Here you see that the game draws, no one wins. Then simply, if the game draws, then the command will call to the print, and here we just simply printing this message that type of position. This is a message or a function created type of position, and it will simply print this. We didn't create any string for a draw position. If we create a string above for a if some game is draw, then a draw message will appear here, but we didn't create it's not necessary one. So this is our simple project here. Oh, one thing is left. What this int 10h means or int 21h means. So basically these are commands used for get the character from keyboard buffer. If you remember, in the beginning I told you that we are using a numeric keyboard keys which are from 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 for our 9 underscores we mentioned there. So int 21h is simply a command or a function which is used to get an integer input from user. And this int 10h means that it will be if you see here, sorry, just wrong. Int 10h is used to interrupt. If you see that I created also here that interrupt means that it will be interrupt the input from the user. So this is my simple project. I tried to explain it fully, but I am not able to do so. I hope so you understand what this project is basically of. Bundle of thanks for your quality of time. Fi amanullah.